But dynamics will kill the vision of a system. Every system must upgrade or die. Change is the only constant in business. If your system doesn't upgrade, it will fall behind by default because everything else is not sitting still. When you think about dynamics, here's an important thing to think. A fellow sells a piece of software and tells you it does a particular thing. And you think, well, okay, I think I want to buy that software. It looks good to me for purposes I understand and can use it for. So you buy it. Ever have a piece of software you buy and it worked for a short while, and then even though you were doing the same thing with that software, it just seemed to quit working? Or you got a piece of software, and this is more common, and it doesn't work at all. Or the most common, you get a piece of software and it works the same way all the time, and you swear it's doing something. You're absolutely sure it's doing something. It's not broken, it's working full speed, and you just don't understand what the issue is. Half the time you contact the owner of the software and say, hey, I'm doing everything you say, and I'm getting no results. Why? What am I doing wrong? You just sort of assume you're doing something wrong, or at least you're putting it that way politely, and the guy will come back and he'll say something like, you're using the wrong tagline, you're using the wrong subject line, you're using the wrong body, you're boring people, you're not exciting enough, oh, you're too exciting, people don't trust you, you sound like a used car salesman. And you go through circles with this guy trying to nail down something useful. And what it really boils down to is you've just been kept in the dark by a system owner that's protecting a system that went obsolete a long time ago, and they had no idea how to upgrade it, and they didn't switch to a new system because people resist change. Let me come back because I want to plant that seed. Now I want to explain it. On the internet, there were good systems. More people get on the internet, and then the dynamics can change. Let me give you a perfect example. If you're on Backpage, just to use something that we talk about a lot, so you're probably kind of familiar with it if you've gone through some of our videos and so forth. If you're on Backpage, everybody gets on Backpage and posts one ad, let's say, okay, just for simple numbers. Now, let's say we have 10,000 ads on Backpage. The chances of you being seen, if you assume people are kind of browsing around Backpage and your ad comes up equally visibly as everyone else's, the chance that you'd be seen, you'd sort of figure would be 1 in 10,000. Of course, that assumes quite a number of things, like whatever you're selling is equally interesting to people as the other 9,999 things being sold. Okay, if you're selling something nobody's interested in, if you're selling, I don't know, number 2 pencils, chances are no one's interested, no one's looking. But you would say the chance of being seen is 1 in 10,000. Now let's say one guy one day invents a software that allows him to post up multiple copies of his own ad. Okay, so he can get his ad in all the categories, all the cities, all over the place. And he can put up variable ads, say, that approach his thing with a slightly different angle. And so he uses it and ballistically creates, let's say, 10,000 ads of his own. Now, if there were 10,000 ads and you just added another 10,000, and the original 1 in 10,000 that was yours will just call negligible, you basically have what? You have half of the visibility on Backpage. You are literally all over it, everywhere on it. You now have taken the piece of pie that was sliced into 10,000 pieces, and you had one of those pieces, and you just reslice the pie into 20,000 pieces total, where you actually have half of it. So if you were to color your half of the pie, purple, or blue, or green, or why not green? Then the fact of the matter is you have half the pie. But dynamics, now the guy who has this software, and it works, turns around and sells it, says, man, people would pay for this thing. It's working for me. I'm making a ton of money. I want to make more, so I want to do everything I'm doing with the software, but I want to sell it to other people. The flaw, of course, is going to be that the dynamics change and erase the gain the fellow had. Let me explain. The guy starts selling it, other people start buying it. And so all of a sudden you have, say, 100 people, or all 10,000. Let's just jump ahead and say whole 10,000. All right, people who had a post on Backpage use it to each create 10,000 posts. Now we have just recut the pie. All right, 10,000 times 10,000, whatever, is how many slices exist in the pie. And the reality check, when all is said and done, is that everyone's back to the same proportional amount of visibility. Well, which is better, the way it was before or the way it is after? The answer is the way it was before with just 10,000 slices. When you have 10,000 times 10,000, the problem is that people can only see so many posts at once on a single page. You're not going to see a page with 10,000 posts and be able to navigate it easily. And so the listings on the page fly off of it real fast as other listings are dumped onto it from other guys at full speed. Therefore, the system breaks. It's not like it stayed equal, but it was different now. It's the system breaks. Everyone has the same part of the pie again if we go 10,000 by 10,000, but it's an active system. It's dynamic. It's not static. The fact that everyone's using the software to do the exact same thing at the exact same time breaks it. Okay? I think you understand that. So let me get back to the history of it all. People had systems that were working, developed upon the systems. More people came pouring in, but you still have things like fixed real estate space on the screen. You still have things like a max of 100 posts per page and so forth. And so dynamics change. All of a sudden, too much information is pouring into each individual too fast, for instance. That kind of thing. Who knows what? And the systems start to become obsolete. And new people who are coming in are not buying it or not re-apping it or renewing their subscription or anything. They're not doing any of that. And so the income starts to fail for the program owners. Or, differently, somebody comes out with some new twist on a thing that already existed. And his new twist, he gives it a whole different name, and he takes off in a whole different direction. She does. Now, their new model is grabbing attention because it's fresh, it's not saturated yet. And all the guys in the old model are either starting to gravitate to the new model or just they're the only guys left in the old model, basically. Now the owner is losing income, just hemorrhaging cash on expenses to maintain their systems, and at the same time earning nothing. Okay, so they're quickly losing money. It's one thing to be $100 ahead every payday versus $100 behind. You know what I mean? When you're $100 behind, you're caught in a living hell. You can't make anything work. Everything's broke all the time. If you're $100 ahead, a difference of a lousy 200 over the course of whatever it is, your week or 2 weeks, whenever your paychecks hit, and you're $100 ahead instead of behind, $200 difference, then all of a sudden there's peace. Okay, you don't have a ton of room yet, but you can relax, you can breathe. There is no panic. You don't have to look back and try to recollect things you had, getting nickels on the dollars and so forth from people you feel slighted you before over something. You can breathe and concentrate your efforts on moving forward. So what happens with the owners of the systems, though, when they're losing their numbers and they're losing their signups and they're losing their cash flow? They go into panic mode because their fixed expenses are still there and they are going into panic. Now, any sensible businessman or woman would say what? They would say, if you can't beat them, join them, right? Figure out how to catch up with the new model. But you know how it is for business owners. They always sit back and say, geez, man, so I am the king of my model, and I am really, really afraid to let it go. I've got both hands tightly on the stem of the thing, and I've been used to it producing a lot of flow for me. I've been living off of it. For me, this equates to money. This is where all money comes from, this model. If I didn't have this, whatever, I'd have to start over again. And so if I have to join them, I'm going to have to start all over again. You know how it is when you quit a job where you climbed up the ladder some, you got promoted a few times, you're making some more money, but for some reason you quit or you're laid off. You have to go to another company. You're stuck starting over entry level very often, right? Entry level for whatever level, you're at, whatever niveau, whatever platform. And so you take this massive step back and you lost time is what you lost. And you have to make back up the money, You lost time and growth. All right. So anybody knows that the owner of the system should go to the other system, should upgrade and join them, or find a way to beat them, but usually have to join them and learn everything from the ground up so that you can become an expert at it so you can turn around and develop something new. Okay. Now, what do they do then? They don't leave. They stay there.